Good morning, listeners. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started, you know we have to do the YouTubey things. Be sure to hit the like button on this video, the notification bell so that you know when I upload new videos. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It does let YouTube know that I'm here, and we want YouTube to know that I'm here. And I am so excited to see how the channel has grown. We are almost there. But anyway, I know you all did not come here for that. So we will continue on in Hiding in Hip Hop by Terrance Dean. Actually, let me correct that. It's Hiding in Hip Hop on the Down Low in the Entertainment Industry, from Music to Hollywood by Terrance Dean. The Beautiful Struggle is Chapter 4. As a teenager, your body, voice, and world naturally changes. However, when you are in a dysfunctional environment, you feel as if you are the only one going through what you are experiencing. As I grew up, men and women noticed my physical changes. I sprouted in height to 6 feet tall. My body trimmed, but I maintained my thick thighs and butt. Girls always wanted to touch my butt, and I hated it. I didn't have pimples like most teenagers, and my face remained smooth and youthful. My voice deepened, and I was complimented on my smile and pretty eyes. Everything about me changed, and people commented out on them out loud. I heard them. They were suggestive and inappropriate remarks for me to hear. Oh, Lord, I done already talked my throat dry. Hold on. One time, I was on my way to school, and it was cold outside. I was bundled up in my parka, hat, gloves, with my backpack slung against my back, and waiting at the corner for the light to change. A married man who I had seen in my neighborhood was standing next to me on the corner. "Hey," he said, smiling. "Hey," I responded. "On your way to school, huh? Yeah, cold out, huh? Yeah." Come on, light. Hurry up and change, I thought. Damn, you grew up to be tall and sexy. I'm sure you're warm, too. I ignored him and quickly walked across the street, leaving him standing there. I didn't know what to say or think. I was already confused and questioning myself about being molested by Ramon. Another time, I was outside with my crew when June, a girl in our neighborhood, came up to me, grabbed my hand, and led me into her house. June was a teenager like us, but had a body like a grown woman. She was what women in our neighborhood called fast. She was too grown for her own good, and just like everyone in my crew, she was a latchkey kid. She lived with her mom, who was never home. June led me into her bedroom, pulled off her clothes and underwear. I immediately got an erection seeing her naked body. She had beautiful big breasts and smooth brown skin. Her vagina was hairy. I stared at it. June put my hands on her breast, and my penis was so hard it hurt. She pulled me on top of her and guided my penis inside her. After a few humps and pumps, she moaned, and the juices released from my body. I was scared and nervous. I didn't know what had just happened, but it felt wonderful. I had never had intercourse before. I was 13, and June took my virginity. I was especially scared because my cum was all over her vagina. I was dripping when I pulled out. I was still dripping when I pulled out. June told me not to worry about it. She got up and cleaned herself. I stood there, penis still hard, trying to make sense of what just occurred. When she came back, I wanted to do it again. June's body looked delicious, and she felt warm and juicy. I liked that feeling, and we had sex 2 more times. My penis just wouldn't go down. We had sex almost every day after that. June liked that my penis didn't go soft after our sessions. I could keep an erection and didn't grow tired. I became June's personal sex toy. She taught me what she knew about sex. We experimented and tried damn near every position. Some were too painful for her, but we enjoyed every minute of it. One day, my mother had stopped by Grandma Pearl's after being gone for nearly 2 months. You never knew when she was coming. She just showed up, unannounced. This time, she didn't leave as she did, but stayed around for a few days. Now that I was older, my mother and I never really spoke. I didn't have much to say to her. It's difficult trying to have a conversation with someone who is high on heroin. The drugs made my mother talk randomly about anything. The subject constantly changed. And she couldn't focus because she was always nodding off. I just didn't understand why she had abandoned me. I couldn't comprehend how a woman could up and leave her children and act like we were some incidental part of her life she wished she hadn't experienced. I never understood why she never said she loved me or showed any affection toward my siblings and me. By this time, there were 4 of us. I was on my way out the door, and my mother was sitting in the living room snacking on her favorite meal, Argo's cornstarch. My mother craved the white ingredients and would sit and eat an entire box. I thought she was crazy. I mean, who in their right mind ate starch? I never understood it. Side note, starch is very good. Add some sugar. Some salt. Oh my God. Back in the day. Never mind. Anyhow, let's carry on. I never understood it. I figured it had something to do with the drugs. But I made it to the door. My mother stopped me. Before I made it to the door, my mother stopped me. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Outside with my friends," I said, agitated. "Come here." When I walked over to her, she sniffed around my neck, chest, and lower body area. "You having sex?" "What? Nah." "Boy, don't lie to me. I know you're sexing that fast-tailed girl down the block." "I'm not stupid. I'm your mother, and I know you. You're walking and acting different." That was the first time my mother noticed anything about me. It boggled my brain that she knew I was having sex. I couldn't understand how I was walking and acting different. Things seemed normal to me, but it took sex, something she was familiar with, for her to notice that her own son was growing into a teenager. As a young boy, I didn't really have a clue what my mother did. I didn't understand her clothes and makeup and why so many different men with fancy cars dropped her off. It was not until I became a teenager that I found out my mother was a prostitute. I grew to despise her even more. I didn't want her coming around embarrassing me in front of my own friends. Even when I hung out with my friends, I avoided areas where I knew prostitutes walked the streets, especially Woodward Avenue, the long, vast street that went from north to south, dividing Detroit between the east and west sides. It was known for its sex stores, theaters, and women of the night. I prayed that neither I nor any of my friends would spot her out there, parading up and down the host roll, looking for a trick. I thank God no one ever saw her. I didn't want her as a mother. She left. She walked out the door, abandoning her motherly duties. Drugs were more important to her, and I felt it. She didn't spend any time with any of her children. We were left at the doorsteps of relatives to care for us, and they had their own problems. They complained how they couldn't afford to feed another mouth and didn't have room for another body. I hated them for that. I thought family was family. If someone needed assistance, you reached out and you did what was necessary. My aunts and uncles knew my mother had a drug addiction. They knew that we needed guidance and support, but more important, that we needed to be shown love. Every day I hoped my mother would be delivered from her addiction. I hoped that she would come and save her children, and we would all live happily ever after, or happily together. I fantasized about a mother who was respectable and caring, but she was my mother. She was who she was, and nothing changed. By the time the other siblings came along, Grandma Pearl couldn't manage a house full of babies, so we got split up too. To avoid putting us into the foster care system, my brother Anthony lived with his father and grandmother on the east side of Detroit. My brother George and I lived with Grandma Pearl. My sister Sharita lived with my cousin Donna, and it bothered me that we were all separated. My brother George was a handful. He was angry and hurt. He, like I, didn't understand why our mother wasn't around. George was a bully, often fighting in school and even cursing out his teachers. He had a serious temper and anger problem. If anyone made any snide comments about him or anyone in our family, he would haul off and start swinging. And God forbid if there was something he could pick up and use as a weapon. If he was in attack mode, the best thing to do was to get out of his way, because he wouldn't stop until someone pulled him off you or he saw blood being drawn. George ran away from Grandma Pearl's house, searching for something or someone to love him. Grandma Pearl couldn't handle him, and no other family member wanted to take on an angry and emotional child, so George ended up in a group home for boys. He had several stints in and out, breaking out of them and making his way back to Grandma Pearl's. Eventually, our neighbor, Mr. Hughes, took him in. She was the nicest and sweetest woman, just like Grandma Pearl, and had her own family. But she told my grandmother, that George could stay with her, which made him happy. One summer, when I wasn't too busy running errands for everyone in the neighborhood, I grabbed 2 books from Grandma Pearl's library, Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man and Iceberg Slim's Mama Black Widow, which I had read several times over. I had not heard anything about them, nor did I know who these authors were. But after reading those books, I discovered that they were others who understood that what it was like to be different. It helped me to see that no matter who or where you are in life, difficult circumstances happen to everyone, and those events can make you feel like you don't matter in a world full of people. Going to church with Priscilla every Sunday, I figured God would have a handle on the situation. I got baptized and turned my life over to Christ. I was doing everything to make my life right with God. I prayed and asked God for my mother to be better. I asked for him to protect her and deliver her from her drug habit. I wanted to be delivered from my sinful thoughts about men. The preacher warned in his sermon that thoughts could be impure, and I was having impure thoughts about boys. As a teenager, everything for me was trial and error. I watched the adults and did what they did, or I read books on the subject to learn more. I hated that I didn't have a father to explain the things I was going through. I longed to have a father to talk or even to chastise me. I needed discipline, a strong hand. Since I had no real direction, I tried to figure things out on my own. There were some subjects I just didn't feel comfortable talking about with Grandma Pearl, although she made herself available. I didn't know how to talk with her about the feelings I have for boys. As a matter of fact, I didn't talk about it with anyone. How do you tell people you love that you have feelings for someone of the same sex? How do you articulate those desires? All I have ever heard from anyone, male or female, was men who like men, it ain't natural. God is going to deal with them. So I bottled it up and swallowed my voice. I already felt I didn't deserve anything. People like me weren't special or worthy. That's so sad. If you have listened this far, please be sure to hit the like button on your way out, the notification bell so that you know when I upload new videos. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. So many of my listeners are not subscribed to the channel, and it would help me get to that 500 mark if everyone just hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. Until next time, bye-bye.